Warning: the content and views expressed on the lab by host and guest is strictly for entertainment and educational purposes and should not be mistaken as financial advice. A guest appearance by representatives of crypto projects or any other organization does not constitute an endorsement by the Alchemist Project. We strongly encourage all of our listeners to perform their own due diligence and consult a qualified professional when considering any investments of any kind. Welcome back to The Lab, a podcast brought to you by the Alchemist Coin Project. My name is Savon Springer, and I'll be your host as we dive deep into the why behind the top builders, innovators, contributors, and communities in the crypto and blockchain ecosystem. Let's get into it. But first, a quick word from our partners. The Crucible NFT project is pioneering next-gen NFTs, combining utility and generative art to create something truly unique. The Crucible is a smart wallet that allows you to subscribe to multiple rewards programs at once, providing you with a safer and more seamless DeFi experience. Plus, you get access to your very own generative art Crucible, which evolves over time as you interact with your Crucible. It is truly spectacular. See what all the hype is about and head to crucible.alchemist.wtf and mint your Crucible today. Now for those at the back, that's crucible.alchemist.wtf and share your Crucible with us on Twitter using the hashtag NextGenNFTs. What's going on, y'all? Savon here, Alchemist community member, host of The Lab, and there are two main updates for today, both relating to the Crucible. So first off, the Crucible is coming to the Polygon network. As we all know, crypto, digital assets, it's a multi-chain future, all right? It's not just going to be Ethereum. It's going to be plenty of other chains as well. And with this means that there's going to be a new user base that can come on and see the benefits and begin to use the Crucible, but it also opens up the Crucible and the Alchemist ecosystem to new opportunities that are uniquely available on the Polygon network. Now, in addition to that, there has also been a rebranding of the Crucible. So the intention was to create a professional design that also was unique in the crypto ecosystem, yet still retained its lineage and its connection to the Alchemist brand and the Alchemist community. All right, so I like it, I dig it, I think you all will as well. And please hop in the Discord and share your thoughts on the visual rebrand, all right? And go ahead, at the designers, the marketers, the branding people, and give them their flowers because they definitely worked really hard on it, and I like the direction that the style is moving in. Now, this particular episode today, we sit down with Gabrielle Haynes. Now, you may know him from some of his videos, some of his memes, but even though he's definitely known for that, he also happens to be the founder of Clipto, which is a Web3 native version of Cameo. So in this conversation, we talk about how Gabriel even got into crypto, what that transition looked like, why he decided to take the route that he did and the style of content that he puts out, and what was the impetus behind creating Clipto and what his plans are for the platform, his thoughts on NFTs as a whole. We touch on Lens protocol and why that may be very important, and a ton of other things. So I really enjoyed the conversation. I am very confident that you will enjoy it and learn something from it as well. And if you do, please leave a review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. If you happen to be watching the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, because all these things help us get this message, get this information out to more people. And if you did find value from it, please consider sharing this with somebody that you know that you also think should hear it. Well, that's it for this quick community update. This is Savon Springer, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Enjoy the episode. All right, welcome back to The Lab. I'm your host, Savon Springer. Today, we got a special man in the house. A lot of y'all might be familiar with him. You may either follow him or some of your favorite videos, memes, TikToks he may be featured in, or you might be a user of one of his many platforms. The most prominent you may know of is Clipto, and I'm speaking today with none other than Gabrielle Haynes. Welcome to The Lab, brother. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Savon. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know I just did like a rough covering of some of the things that you dabble in. So if you wouldn't mind, take a few moments and catch the people up on anything that you feel they should be caught up on?
Sure, sure. So my name is Gabriel. Primarily content creator. That's how I got started in crypto, making tutorial videos, basically explanations about different apps. Since then, I started making more of the meme type stuff that you kind of mentioned over there. And also recently, no, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, we started Clipto, which is kind of like a personalized content platform, similar to Cameo, if you're familiar. And yeah, I helped start the Creator DAO, which is kind of like a marketing DAO as well. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it from my background.
I love when people are humble and oh that's pretty much it. When obviously there's a lot of irons in the fire, and I imagine that's not a an easy thing to manage and keep everything flowing on a high level. You didn't even mention your NFT project, or the other DAO that you're a part of. So maybe let's start with how you why you were in content creation and when you made that pivot over to crypto. Some people call it when you go full-time crypto. So if you could, can you walk us through how that happened?
Yeah, so I was a content creator. I would make content before I was in crypto. I actually before crypto I was making food related content. Hummus. You familiar with hummus? You know
I love
the
hummus. I saw one of those on your Twitter. I didn't know if it was mostly hummus or if it was a few.
Yeah, I would go around to different like restaurants in Israel. I was living in Israel and like kind of review the ambiance of the place, the different accompaniments they give you, the service, the taste, the texture, all that kind of stuff. I really like hummus, as maybe you could tell. But yeah, then COVID kind of hit, and all the places kind of closed down, so I couldn't really go review anything. And that around that time, I started researching a lot about crypto. Initially, it was a lot about Bitcoin. As I spent more and more time with Bitcoin, though, I realized that there wasn't a lot happening. There wasn't a lot of developments going on with that. And I got a lot more excited about Ethereum. And, Ethereum now and also back then uh, had a lot of apps you could use, a lot of different, things you could do. And so that's when I started kind of diving into the ecosystem. And I started, in order to learn, I kind of started to make videos like explaining kind of the different apps, also to learn, but also to, educate people, because especially then, like 2 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of resources that you could go to in order to learn about these different things. I mean, there was a few. There was like DeFi Dad, there was Bankless, but beyond that, it was very limited. And I realized there was an opportunity to, kind of that get in that space, because I could be very quick. You know, those other guys, they would take a little bit of time. And in crypto, things every day there's something new. So if you can be fast and you can put something out there that's explains what's going on, and you're one of the first people to make a video about it or explain about it, then people will watch, right? So that's how I first started with crypto content. Um, and then I kind of stopped with, I didn't stop with education, but at some point I realized that memes were a lot more powerful. And I even like remember thinking to myself, embrace the meme, like as like a philosophy of content creation. And I've went a lot more in that direction over the past maybe 6 months or so. And you've seen like, these videos of me, yelling ridiculous stuff or saying, I don't know, ridiculous CT memes and stuff like this. And those videos have had a lot more reach than any of the educational stuff that I did. So that was kind of my journey in content. And yeah, I mean, that's how I got started, and that's kind of takes us to where we are today.
Definitely. Thank you for that. And I would agree because similarly, I was in the background some years ago and it was 2017, came in off the speculation, stayed around once I learned more about the fundamentals. And the idea was, all right, there's this huge information gap, right? But to your point, it's funny how people inside of this space take in information because some people, they'll take it in if you put a video together and you're trying to, uh, you know, put a tutorial or something to that effect. But then if you go the route of creating more of a meme or something that combines a bit of maybe irony and self-awareness as well as providing some information, some nuggets in there, it's wild just the difference in the way it resonates. Do you have any reason or a rationale in your mind of why that might be that people seem to catch on more to the cultural component of it than just the information factual here is how you do?
People want to feel like they're part of something. And a lot of, that whole idea of memes is kind of like inside jokes, right? A meme conveys a lot of information in a picture, and you need a lot of background in order to understand the memes many times, right? So when you put something out that is memey and you use kind of phrases that are used on crypto Twitter, all the time, then people, they will resonate with that. They get that. They feel that. That's every community, crypto or doesn't matter, any community have certain language they use, and it's like tribal language, and tapping into that tribal language is very powerful, and it activates people. It makes people feel like, oh, this guy, he's one of us. He gets it. So I think that is something that I've learned along the way.
That makes a lot of sense. I notice in a lot of your videos the GMCT and just kind of if you know what that means and just even the kind of acronymic nature of it all definitely kind of makes me like you're speaking this hidden language that you must be one of the select to understand. So that makes total sense. If you could walk us through then going from that, because there's plenty of people who build their entire careers, or at least that window of time of their career where they say, you know what, I'm gonna make content. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna get on CT, see what's popping right now, give my 2 cents on it, see if I can put a different spin on it, or be the first one to break something that's a recent development. You chose this to instead say, all right, let me build something. And from the background I was able to find, part of it came a bit serendipitously, similarly to how the world, travel restrictions coming into place put you off a path of hummus. Who knows? Maybe you would have launched a hummus brand instead if you did that for long enough, but you came over to crypto, you started getting in with the content, then you said, from my understanding, and you could tell the story obviously much better than whatever I can find on the internet, you tried to get on Cameo or something similar to Cameo. You were not approved for some reason, and you said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna build a crypto native version of it." And then that led you to connecting with the social protocol that's being built by Stanley and Stanley and the team over at Aave Lens Protocol, and that's where Clipto comes in. So please, sir, give us the goods on that.
Yeah, that was pretty accurate. So people started kind of requesting that I make these personalized videos. And also at the time, you probably saw like Hard Rock Nick got very popular. And, about 6 months ago, he was on the timeline like every day. Like people were booking him left and right. So I thought, okay, let me, people were asking me, can you like say this, say that, whatever. So I was like, okay, yeah, let me try and make a cameo. And yeah, I applied and they just never responded to my application. I guess I'm not cool enough for Cameo. But yeah, so then I'm like, okay, well, we should, in any case, we should have a kind of a crypto native version of this where you can pay with crypto and you can, get the content as an NFT. And that's really how Clipto was born. I worked very hard. I begged on crypto Twitter for developers to come and start to work on this project. Developers are pretty hard to come by, especially, yeah. But eventually we got the people that could build it in place, in line, and we started, we started working on it, and here we are today in building Clipto. And actually, you mentioned Lens as well. When I first started with Clipto, it really had nothing to do with Lens at all. That was kind of something that came along as things were developing. But I'm pretty excited about Lens because I think that Lens, the Lens ecosystem, has the opportunity to disrupt a lot of the social platforms that we use today and every day. And Clipto can really leverage this ecosystem in a variety of ways. And I can kind of dig deeper into that if you'd like.
Yeah, please, if you wouldn't mind, when it makes sense to do so.
So yeah, so I realized that, building a social app is pretty difficult in the sense that you have all of these, you have these big applications that we use every single day: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and disrupting them is very difficult. I mean, you have to have a very, very compelling app in order to get users onto it, and you have to build a network effect. And building a network effect is not something that is super easy to do. But why I'm excited about Lens is because Lens enables an ecosystem of applications that are interoperable and share data and share features. So instead of, getting a user to onboard onto Clipto, for example, you can get a user to onboard into the Lens ecosystem. So they make a profile on Lenster, for example. Lenster is like the Twitter version on Lens. So if someone makes a profile on Lenster, they're automatically onboarded onto Clipto, and vice versa. You make a profile on Clipto, you have a profile on Lenster, and you have a profile on the Snapchat version and the Instagram version, right? Everything is all connected, right? So this, I believe, is how potentially Lens could disrupt something like all of the big apps that we use today. It's not that you build this one really great crypto application that somehow is much, better than, a single other application. No, it has to be an ecosystem of applications that all together can defeat each singular, Web 2 application. Because, taking down Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, in terms of like getting market share from there is very difficult because users want to interact with other users. And if there's no users, there's no point in being a social network, right? So, but the downside of those Web 2 applications, there's no connection between them. They don't share data, they don't share engagement, they don't share features. It's all boxed off. So if we could build an ecosystem of applications that can actually combine all of these features and combine all of the content into this group of apps, that I believe could be a lot more powerful than the sideload of the applications that we use today. So that's why, pretty excited about that. Pretty interested in continuing to help build that out.
So what was it, and then there's an anonymity aspect to it that I want us to get into a bit because I also believe I saw you mention to that point that with Cameo, it's very difficult to do something anonymously. And as we know, there's a lot of people in crypto, and if this deal goes through with Elon, and if he does honor what he said, his potential plans to make everybody be verified, and he will still find a way to be quasi-anonymous, all of that. But I do want to touch on that. My question for you is, was there anything else in your background that gave you that confidence to say, all right, I can make this pivot, or rather I can add into my goals or the things I'm aiming to achieve, not just making content. I say just, but something that you already built a skill at, something you were already in the flow of doing, to pivoting and saying, all right, now I want to go in and build something that hasn't quite been built yet on top of a subsector of digital assets, crypto, that is also relatively fresh, and build out something that, even in the Web 2 world, building an application, getting developers, as you said, can be an arduous process. So what was it that made it where you felt that confidence to go in and do it? And then even the idea of just asking for the developers out front, is that something where you explain the concept publicly? Did you just try to get the ear of these developers and then explain it to them so that you could try to keep it, close to the chest, so to say, until you felt like you were in position? What was your thought process throughout that?
Yeah, so I mean, the only reason I felt confident enough is because people were literally asking me for videos, right? So there was, yeah, I mean, I knew there was demand. I knew that, it wasn't just some concept that I just came up with, right? And obviously, Cameo exists and they have, users. So it feels like it is sort of a proven business, right? And yes, that's just because I know that people wanted this or want this, right? Um, and as far as sharing this publicly, I don't believe in hiding your ideas. I think that you really should make your ideas known, and I really don't believe that you should keep a lid on your idea because someone is gonna steal it and do it first. If that happens, then actually, if that would happen in my situation, I would be happy because then I would have the platform that allowed me to fill these orders, right? But actually, I really don't think there are very many people that are qualified to actually build this type of platform or have the passion or motivation to build it, because unless you are a person who is very like a content creator who is like actually actively getting requested for this type of thing, or maybe you're just like a business person who like really believes in this particular idea. I mean, who is the person that is into crypto that wants to build this specific app? Not very many. So I was, very forthright with what I wanted to build, and I was like, explaining on Twitter, like, okay, we're gonna have you to pay on chain. It's like Cameo, you pay on chain, you get the content as an NFT. Simple concept, nothing too fancy.
Hmm.
And yeah, that eventually got enough attention that there were a few people that kind of amplified that request, and eventually we got a working product out.
Excellent. And how many developers was it, if you don't mind me asking? How long did it take from starting to build it to it being launched? Would you say that process was?
Yeah, it was about 3-4 months. We had to go through a couple different developers. First, it was very community focused, where we just had people from the community. We're like, okay, we're going to build this, we're going to build that. Eventually, we had to build out, bring in a team of like 3-4 developers who work on it, and they still work on it today.
If we could for a second, I'd like to dive deeper into just your outlook on NFTs. Obviously, now, having built Clipto, you have a big leg in the NFT ecosystem. And I think the NFT ecosystem is it's like when people think crypto is just one thing. It's like this monolithic structure, just like crypto. And it's like, well, technically speaking, not much in crypto is actually, just interesting when we pull up the nuances. And with NFTs, I think we have seen and will continue to see a continuing kind of splintering off into things that are technically NFTs as a technology, but are very different in what they serve, right? So obviously, you have PFPs. We see music NFTs becoming more popular. Video NFTs. I'm not sure if you saw the Madonna NFTs that she put out. Quite a statement piece. And we have now something that I thought of last year would become far more popular, which is archival systems via NFTs. And it seems like that's what Clipto is in a way doing. And what I mean is, let's say, for instance, right, this podcast or any podcast, every single episode that is ever put out being made an NFT and stored somewhere. And part of that being just a preservation mechanism. And depending on obviously what you have in the back end, whether it's an IPFS, Pinata, Arweave, something like that, ideally it can store the data. But I'm curious your thoughts on how you see the NFT ecosystem now and where you think it may be going and how you think that Clipto may help shape that and where Clipto sits in that worldview you have.
Yeah, I think you're pretty accurate in your description. Like, I saw someone on Twitter say NFTs are a Ponzi and some other stuff, right? I was like, what does that actually mean? Like, how can a technology be a Ponzi? It's like the internet is a Ponzi. I mean, there may be Ponzi's on the internet. There may be, the Bored Ape Yacht Club may be a Ponzi. I mean, it's not, but like maybe you could say, but like NFTs are just this amorphous thing. It's not, it could be anything. It could be a receipt, right? It could be a way you distribute your music. It could be different, anything. So I definitely think that we will see, just more and more categories of NFTs. Right now, the dominant one is like profile pictures, or kind of like, these membership type things. But yeah, I don't think that there's any reason why you wouldn't issue an NFT if you're a business, as just a receipt, proof of purchase. As a business that benefits you because you have the ability to better track your customers and you can give them rewards. And that doesn't mean that, it's not you don't have to pay for the NFT. You just get it as part of the process of, interacting with this business. And I think we'll see a lot of that type of stuff. I mean, even just on that idea, like you've seen concert tickets from like Woodstock or whatever sell for a lot of money because it means something to people. And in the same way, like if you attend, let's say a baseball event and, you got the ticket stub as an NFT, it just makes it like it's authentic, it's authentic and it's real. And someone may think that this is valuable. So they could buy it if they really want it. I mean, or not, and it doesn't matter. Like it's really up to you, up to the market to decide. But yeah, I just think that there will be so many different types of NFT and NFT use cases. And actually, one thing that I really want to do with Clipto, and I think would work very well for music NFTs and any sort of collaborative type content, is to do these revenue splits between the different creators. So one thing that I really want with Clipto is to focus more on the user. So in Web 2, we have creators like myself who tweet probably too much. And I don't really get any benefit from tweeting. I mean, I get to grow my social profile. I get clout. I don't know, whatever I get. But there's no direct monetization from creating that content. And most of it goes to Twitter, and they sell ads and they get the money for it. And to me, they provide a platform. But obviously, the user is providing a lot more value than just a free platform. So something that I want to do with Clipto is to reward the users, not only the creators, the users as well, for creating, engaging or viral content. So what does that mean? So the user is also part of the experience. If you think about coming to Clipto as a user, you need to think of an idea that you think would be, funny or interesting or engaging. And you have to select a creator who will be able to deliver your message in the appropriate manner. So you as a user are part of the creation process. And in something like Cameo, that is not acknowledged at all, right? It's just kind of like a one-way street, like,
it's like more of a marketplace.
Yeah, well, it's the Clipto is also a marketplace, but it's more like, you buy I come and I say, okay, Savon, I really want you to say X, Y, and Z. I buy it from you, and that's it. I mean, you got the money, you're the creator, you got the money, and then that's it. I mean, it just kind of ends there. But what I think it should be kind of like more of a two-way street, because we're actually entering some sort of partnership, some sort of relationship here. So if I, write a script for you that you deliver really well, and people think it's funny and gets a lot of engagement, then both of us should be rewarded for that. And we can do this utilizing something like Lens. So with Lens, you can actually track engagement across all of the different, profiles, all of the different applications. So we can track, okay, these people, this piece of content got a lot of views or a lot of likes, whatever it is, and we could actually pay both the user and the creator for that. Or it could be, a business that wants to amplify a certain piece of content that was created. Both of the parties can be rewarded for that. So it's kind of like, instead of just one way, it's kind of like a partnership, which I think is pretty cool, pretty interesting.
How far off do you feel from a developmental standpoint, and part of that being just the tools available and seeing the longer term, I guess, dynamics between the users and the creators? Do you think not just your platform, but that idea is from being more standard? Because I think anybody would agree with your point, anybody rational would agree with your point that it takes both of these sides of the equation to end up with an end product. And if that platform as a whole is facilitating that process, and they're the ones bringing in revenues or growing in XYZ capacity, there is some sense in rewarding the two participants, or however many participants there are to that equation. So far in crypto, we have seen this idea of airdrops being done retroactively. And we have seen that when it first started, it kind of worked. But then once they started, everybody's, all right, use something new that you think is dope, farm the hell out of it, and you might get some free money. And so now that causes a lot of attacks. And we see now that there is this idea of retroactive public goods funding that we see from things like Optimism. I think there was a paper that Vitalik wrote where it spoke about, all right, you basically still do an airdrop, but you wait until something has built enough of a following. So for instance, you all got a grant from Lens. If you all could, in the future, continue to deploy on Lens, and then y'all are one of the biggest protocols, theoretically, some DAO that oversees Lens could go back and say, all right, we're going to airdrop X amount of tokens to Clipto because we have seen that they did, in fact, provide a value to the community. So do you think that the idea that you're speaking of fits somewhere in maybe the latter of that equation I explained, or do you see this being still a novel model that you have not quite seen done in the space yet? Or if you have, do you have any examples of what might serve as inspiration?
I don't think it's exactly what you're saying. I think that's kind of a different subject. I see it more of as a collaboration where they do have this, where like in Foundation, for example, Foundation, the NFT marketplace, where you can do this on multiple platforms, but you can set like royalties to multiple parties. So if two artists come together, they make a piece, they publish it, they get some sort of split. right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could do this. It's not too far off to be able to do this with something like Lens.
And get
Lens
part
has
of that
this.
royalty split. I don't mean to jump in, but to kind of
Hey, go
clarify, 'cause I
ahead.
know I said a lot. Take that split potentially, and instead of that royalty only kicking back to the creator of it, also kicking back to the other end of that transaction. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So using Lens, you can actually do this relatively easily. I mean, I don't say. I mean, it's possible to do this with Lens because Lens has this feature called Collect. And Collect is a feature that allows basically every piece of content that gets published on Lens, I believe, becomes an NFT. So users can decide if they want to collect that NFT as part of like an open edition. So if they want to, like, you could think about it like tipping. So if they want to tip the creator for creating a nice piece of content or a video, they can collect that, and that's added to their collection. So you could do a kind of a variation on collect, where instead of collecting going to one party, you can collect and it can go to multiple parties. So you can definitely, I think we will be able to do this not too long not too far in the future, actually. Another good, actually a really good example of this, I don't know if you've seen over the last couple of days, the Crypto boy song. I don't care about your crypto, but you know what I'm talking about.
No. I don't think I've heard it yet.
Oh wow, okay. So basically, this girl on TikTok made a song.
Oh, I saw you do. Okay, I didn't hear the audio, but I did see. Okay, people doing remix. Yes. Okay.
So basically, she made a song and she made the chorus, but then she did like kind of an open verse. So she sang the first part, and then it's just the beat, and anyone could like fill in their own
Mm-hmm.
beat. So yeah, I made one, but many people made much more like viewed versions of it, like Spotty Wi-Fi. I don't know if you know him. He's like a crypto punk rapper. Did a verse. This guy July did a verse. Anyway, a bunch of people. But the point is that it was kind of a collaborative effort, right? She made the song, she made the track, she made the chorus, but she didn't make every verse. So if that were like a music NFT, that actually you could publish that as an NFT, and then every person who contributed to it essentially could also get a piece of those, royalty streaming fees or whatever it is. I think that would be very cool. I mean, and you could also think about the same concept, with a movie or a TV show or a web series. A bunch of people get together. You have an editor, you have a writer, you have the producer. Everyone creates, puts a lot of effort into creating that piece of content, and then they can determine some sort of revenue split between all of them, and generate royalties that is actually sent out, via smart contracts to each one of them in a fair and open manner.
Let's circle back a bit to when you mentioned the businesses, because both of us have a lot of context for crypto. Not everybody does. When you explain a model like this, once again, seems abundantly clear this is optimal compared to what we are currently seeing. This is an optimal setup for the parties involved, creators, consumers, everybody wins. Yay, right? Do you have any thoughts on the viability of the incumbents, Facebook, Instagrams, XYZs, incorporating these sorts of features to their platforms versus I know, right?
I have no idea.
But because when I think about it, part of me is I think we are seeing an increasing sentiment change where the average person, even if they're not super into crypto, they're like, you know what, these platforms are kind of fucking us. Pardon my French. And as that sentiment increases, we've already seen, from my understanding, numbers on Facebook drop off. Numbers on Instagram engagement might be dropping off, and TikTok is gaining a lot of people. But at some point, that might start to drop off if they behave a certain way. So, do you see there being any kind of moat around crypto native applications doing this, other than maybe the speed of being able to iterate and build these things out without trying to figure out how do you keep all the other stuff intact. Because obviously there is the main advantage of Web 2 is they have the user base. And the main advantage on this side is there's the technology and the understanding and the desire. So do you see a middle ground ever taking place? Or do you think that there will eventually be more of an exodus from 2 to 3? And how do you see that potentiality playing out?
So I want to highlight that actually Meta is entered a partnership with Polygon to build on Polygon. Now, I don't know exactly what that means or what they're going to build. I have no idea what Meta is building actually in terms of the metaverse, but it does mean something. Also, and I should say that Clipto is on Polygon and Lens is on Polygon as well. So perhaps they will integrate into, these more crypto native applications. But I think that it is very unlikely because I think that it is very hard for a Web 2 company who operates in one way to pivot into a fully crypto native way of operating. So again, when Facebook and Twitter and all these things started, there's no crypto, obviously, and they all work in a way where it's very closed box. They have all their own data centers. They don't share information. All of their technology is built, on whatever it is they build on. I'm not a dev, so I'm not even going to attempt to say something. I'm not even going to attempt, but it's just not a way that they normally operates, right? And when you build something new, like built natively on crypto, then you have that advantage of starting in a way that makes a lot more sense rather than trying to kind of adjust. So we've seen some things like Twitter has their the NFT profile picture, which does integrate into crypto, but it's a very small part of their whole ecosystem, right? It's not like their whole platform is now crypto. No, it's just this profile picture is. And I'm sure they will continue to add features like they have tipping, maybe they'll have more like you can sell an NFT on Twitter or whatever it is. But I don't think that they'll ever get to a level where, okay, every tweet is an NFT, every tweet can be bought. And so I don't think that's just not their business model. And the same thing goes for, Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook. They're just not built. Instagram announced that it will be incorporating NFTs into its platform. But again, it's not that every picture now is going to be an NFT. It's just a completely different way of operating. So I think it is very difficult for these companies to, become more crypto native. And yeah, that is the opportunity for stuff like Lens and, Clipto to kind of take, create these applications that are a lot more friendly to the user and reward the user and the creator a lot more. And that is, that's what I'm banking on. That's what I think is going to be the future.
I dig it. Part of an analogy that comes to mind for me is thinking of, obviously you have Mac computers running Mac OS, you have Windows computers, but a Mac computer in parallels can still run Windows, but it's not going to perform the same way as it would if you were running it natively, even though there is a, population group that will want to use that. I guess the thing in my mind that I just come back to is that these, for the most part, as they exist currently, these applications exist for these companies to make profit. And if profits begin to dwindle enough, and that's kind of why I threw in that part about the exodus potentially happening, and I think there's still way too much friction in crypto stuff for most people to come over. Like it's too much shit for them to do. And then you're like, oh, what's Polygon? Oh, what the fuck is this? And it's way cheaper than Ethereum, but you got to move to this different network. And it's a lot for people. But I guess just in my head, I think that there will be an eventuality where it's almost it's like a choice they have to make. They got to go through it's like Schrodinger's cat, they're going to go through one door or the other, and that will ultimately decide their fate. And my postulation is they will try to build features that incorporate more crypto products, and they will learn that way. And then eventually they will either come by and they may one day show up. Cameo might be like, hey, Gabrielle, we got about 300 million for you. If you just let us take these, couple APIs and, just come on, man, it won't be too difficult. You built a good thing here. And try to accelerate it that way, because historically that's what tech companies do. They find studios that do something that they want to do. They go in, they say, hey, how can we retrofit this into our system? What kind of check do you need? And then they make the deal. We saw OpenSea doing that. That energy is coming into crypto. OpenSea buying the NFT. Thank you. That platform. And I always love when they put the announcements out initially, like, oh no, this platform will continue to do business just as it has. It's like, okay, so just as it has, so that means that they're gonna stop adding features, or they're gonna stop, they don't want to outpace it. It's interesting. When you were working on the UI for Clipto, were there any considerations that you took especially into mind to try to, I'm sure you did, so in what ways did you try to lower the friction as much as possible to make it where somebody who is not crypto native could also come along?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of friction. I mean, you still need to know how to use, Polygon. I mean, that's at its core, that's it. I mean, but if you know how to use Polygon, then it should be pretty easy. The UI of Clipto is very, very simple. You have only very few fields that you need to fill out, and you sign the transaction, and it's done. That's it. So you find a creator, you will put some instructions for them. You put the bid, how much you want to pay them, kind of like how much time you're willing to give them, and that's it. And then you just click sign, and it sends the transaction to the escrow contract. And then the creator has the opportunity to fill it. So from a user perspective, you need to know how to use crypto, but beyond that, it's very, very simple. So I wanted to make it as simple as possible. The more fields you add, the more friction it is for a user to complete the purchase. And it's even simpler than Cameo in some ways, because with Cameo, you need to make an account. You need to put in your credit card information. You need to do all these things. But with Clipto, you don't. If you have the funds in your wallet, you just sign the transaction with the information, and that's it. It's one step, one form, where Cameo could be, 3 or 4. So in that way, crypto itself is easier to use. But it's that initial hurdle of understanding how MetaMask works and getting Matic into your wallet and all of those things, which crypto as a whole definitely needs to improve upon in order to make crypto just more widespread. And we all use these phones right here, but crypto doesn't really work on your phone. I mean, you have MetaMask mobile, and it kind of works. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's not very user friendly. We really need to bring the ability to have crypto applications that work well on your phone, that are easy to use. I think is going to be a big breakthrough for us. And I don't mean just like wallets. There's some great wallets out there like Argent, Rainbow, whatever. They look really nice, but they don't tap into the entire ecosystem. I mean, you can use Wallet Connect and stuff like that, but it doesn't always work. If you're going on different, chains, it definitely is not going to work. So we still have a lot of improvement to do just as an industry.
Definitely. And even, prior to crypto, web extensions don't really exist natively on mobile. If you do some applications that can emulate some of these features by building them into the app, or if you do some jailbreaking, rooting, I don't know how many people still do that, but you can sometimes do some workarounds, but there's always going to be compatibility issues. And to your point, you ain't trying to run into compatibility issues when you sign in a transaction. I liked your video when you mentioned that you were at the antique store and you were trying to mint that NFT, and you're like, damn it, you can't mint from contract on MetaMask Mobile, but your boys helped you out. So love it. What we're going to do real quick is take a quick break for these sponsors. Then when we jump back, we're going to do the over-under. And then after that, we're going to do the alpha section. So let's go ahead and get this word from our sponsors. Builders, beginners, degens, no matter who you are or what your experience is in crypto, we invite you to join us in the Alchemist community. We're proud to be a community-built project that brings together some of the most talented builders and passionate community members who are all here to support each other as we build world-changing products that promote a more open, fair, and transparent financial system. If you're ready to join the revolution, want to fulfill a role in our community, or just have questions about what Alchemist is all about, jump into our Discord and join in the conversation at discord.alchemist.wtf. For those that missed it, that's discord.alchemist.wtf. Join us. We can't wait to have you. Welcome back. I am with Gabrielle Haynes, and we're going to jump into this over-under section. So right out the gate, Bitcoin.
When over means yes, or like over or under, what do you mean?
So when I say that, either you feel it is overrated or it is underrated. And then
overrated,
you can feel free.
Underrated.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty much rated. I don't know. Is it over? I don't know. It's tough to say. I would say maybe underrated. I don't think it's overrated. I think that we are seeing a lot of problems with monetary system as it exists. We see a lot of inflation, and Bitcoin is supposed to solve some of those problems. So in general, I would say underrated, but within crypto, it might be overrated. That makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense. Proton Mail.
Proton Mail. I've used it one time. I don't know. Maybe no one uses it. I mean, I don't know. You might use it, but I don't. So I don't know. Maybe it's underrated. It's underrated. You want to be a non, use it. I don't know.
Yeah, the idea you could have substitute Proton Mail for encrypted mail is really what I was going at. But I think particularly in crypto, some people might want some more encrypted emails than Gmail. Cool. Let's keep it moving. Polygon.
I think Polygon is pretty underrated. I mean, the thing about Polygon, it had a very overrated moment maybe a year ago. Everyone was super hyped on Polygon. The token went up a lot. It's since crashed along with the whole market. But what I've been really impressed with Polygon is their business development side. They have a partnership with Stripe. They have a partnership with Meta. These are things that should not be overlooked. So I'm bullish, underrated for Polygon.
Okay. Clipto.
Oh, underrated for sure. To the moon. Clipto to the moon.
GM.
I think it's a bit overrated, but I'm not going to stop.
Discord.
I think it's a bit overrated. I think that there's a lot. We should have more crypto native functionality within Discord. So one thing I really like about Lens is that you can have direct wallet to wallet chat, and it's not that you need to go to a specific site in order to access that. It's going to be across the entire ecosystem. So instead of having to go to your email and it's Telegram and it's Discord, you're going to have it across all of. Well, a better example is like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. All of those are going to be in one inbox, and it doesn't matter where somebody messages you from. It's going to get to you where you like to read it. So I think that, Discord, overrated.
OpenSea.
OpenSea, overrated. I don't know why they're so Web 2-y.
I think they were trying to keep in mind, how do we get users who have never used crypto before? And in my opinion, that's what they were trying to be, the Apple or the Coinbase of NFTs. And as we know, I feel like any crypto native does not touch Coinbase. But most people who aren't, they come in and like, Coinbase, right? And I'm like, I mean, you definitely could. So I hear you on that. What else we got? Hardware wallets or cold storage in general.
Well, yeah, you got to be underrated. You got to be using your hardware wallet. Definitely make sure you have one with you. Don't keep all your monies on MetaMask for sure.
Definitely. IPFS.
Yeah, generally speaking, I think it's probably underrated. I think that more and more people will. I don't want to say IPFS. I will say like Arweave, that whole kind of ecosystem is definitely underrated. One thing that we're looking to integrate with is LivePeer, which I believe uses IPFS on the back end for video storage. My YouTube channel got nuked maybe 2 weeks ago. It's back now, but could happen again, could happen at any time. So we really want to have kind of more decentralized, kind of censorship resistant, permissionless type storage. So underrated IPFS.
Okay. What is another? PFPs.
PFPs. I will say they're overrated, but that's probably because I'm middle IQ.
Okay, and then utility NFTs.
Utility. Yeah, like I haven't seen a ton of good utility NFTs. I don't know. I think that in general, they are underrated, but I haven't seen a good one yet. So I don't know. Middle rated. I don't know. Could be improved on.
Okay. Gabrielle Haynes.
Oh, underrated. He is a legend. You've never seen such a funny man in your entire life.
All right. So I want to thank you for gracing us with your time. I think this has been a really insightful conversation, and for nobody else, for me. But I definitely think a lot of people are going to learn something from this. So before we head out of here, if you could, this is the alpha section. So all that means is if you could leave the listeners with some sage piece of wisdom. It can be crypto related. It can have nothing to do with crypto, but some piece of advice that you think will benefit those listening.
The alpha is buy my shit coins. They're going to the moon. No, I'm just kidding. I think that you definitely got to get involved with crypto. You don't need to trade in order to benefit from crypto. Just understand the different applications. Get involved in these applications. Lens, for example, it's not out yet, but it will be out potentially in the next few weeks. So start to understand these systems, start to understand the applications that are built on top of them, get involved, get involved with some DAOs. You can benefit a lot from crypto by using your time, just like you're doing right now, making a podcast, creating content. These are things that are super undervalued, and that if you are persistent with them over a good period of time, that you will see good results. So definitely get out there, be active, talk to people, create content, and yeah, just learn as much as you can.
Love it. All right, Gabrielle Haynes, if you could leave the people with where they can find you, where they can get in touch with you, where they can find Clipto, and anything else that you want to leave the audience with, please.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Gabrielle Haynes. You can go to Clipto.io if you want to book a Clipto from me or some of the other creators. We didn't talk about the googly-eyed rocks, but if you want to check out the googly-eyed rocks, there's a link in my bio on Twitter. You can follow me on YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/Gabrielle Haynes. Those are the main platforms. I got a Discord chat. You can find that on Twitter linked as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where you can find me.
Excellent. Gabrielle Haynes, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Savon. I appreciate it.
All right. We will see y'all next week on the next episode of The Lab. Until then, this is Savon Springer, and we will holler at y'all soon. Peace.